We do have the specter of that SpaceX IPO coming up. A lot of talk about people selling out of technology stocks and chip stocks with the idea that they're going to fund their purchases of SpaceX stock. How big of a factor do you see that being in this market and some of the volatility that we're seeing? It's important to know Oracle after the bell, fractionally higher. That seems to be one of the more sensitive stocks to AI questions and technology questions, still managing to hold on to some very slight gains.
I think that's probably an element. I don't think that's the main driving factor. If you look back last week, I had been sort of thinking about this through the week, and now I think this week this is what happened. So last week we had this basically prevailing wisdom or commentary in the market. Investors were getting increasingly more concerned. Everybody was worried about the parabolic moves in semiconductors. All of the technical charts were off the charts. It didn't make sense to enter at that point. Yet we had continued enthusiasm about AI. There was sort of this market action that everybody thought downside protection wasn't necessary. It was full steam ahead. And I thought at some point those two narratives need to meet in the middle. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I don't know the future for any certainty, but I do feel like this is a pause in a continued upward trend. I think we will continue to stay in a bull market because the enthusiasm and the expectations are still there. I don't think fundamentals have changed. I think the technicals have broken down a bit, and they needed to. Semiconductors are up 100% since the end of March. So I think this is okay. And up until some of this news, the market today even looked pretty orderly and pretty healthy. I think that the breadth that we're seeing in the market, even on down days, is still promising, and that we're just seeing capital move from some of those extended places into other spots where investors are looking for opportunity.
Right, so while we're talking about volatility right now, we actually want to return to the White House. The president is still speaking, not only about Iran, but also about oil prices. We're going to listen in.
In my short time here, 74 days we had stock market all-time historical highs. Nobody can believe it. The Dow, the S&P. S&P was at 7,000. They said in 4 years, maybe 5 years. It will never hit it during the term. It was too much. I hit it in my first year. I hit on the Dow, it was 50,000 was an impossible number. They said 5, 6 years out, you'd hit. Well, I hit it in my first year. And now I get everyone in the room and say, congratulations, but now I'm going to take it down a little bit because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And they all agreed with me, Todd, you remember. Everybody agreed. And we took a little journey down to Iran. We first stopped off at Venezuela, by the way. And we have paid for that war many, many times over. And we have great relationships with the people of Venezuela. We get along with them great. It was a great success. It was a one-day war. It was really, to be exact, 48 minutes of fury. And it was over. And Venezuela is doing great. Relationships with the people are great. It's become a happy country, believe it or not. I mean, it's become a happy country. And we're taking out millions of barrels of oil from Venezuela. And then we went to Iran. And essentially, we've done the same thing. It doesn't look as pretty, but there's no Navy. 159 ships at the bottom of the sea. There's no Air Force. All of their planes are blown up. Most of their drones are gone. Most of their drone-making ability is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. All of their leadership is gone, so they replaced it. All of that leadership is gone, so they replaced it. And that's the people we're dealing with now. And I think they're going to want to make a deal, but we're going to find out.
Inflation to come down between now and
when the war is over?
Yes.
It's coming down.
I know you can't.
It's going to come down like a rock. And again, we're taking out millions, which I'm just announcing today for the first time. But we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Millions of barrels. Every night we took out oil. But now I'm going to tell you because they just figured it out. So now that they figured it out, I can tell you. It was very hard for me. I wanted to say it so badly, but I didn't want to ruin it. But it was very hard. But millions of barrels of oil has come out. And that's why it's at $85, $90 a barrel instead of $250. But we have the greatest military in the world, the toughest military in the world, just the best in every way. Nobody even close. There's no military that's even close. I rebuilt it during my first term. I'm using it now. When this conflict is over, Todd said, please go into conflict, right, as opposed to the word war. He didn't like the word war, but it's sort of a conflict. It's a military operation. When it's over, you will see oil drop to where it was before. We were getting gasoline. Just before it started, I was in Iowa, and we passed gas stations, $1.85 a gallon. And we'll be back at those levels very soon. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Joe was satisfied.
Wait, you guys.
Yeah, the only was. Yeah.
All right, as you can see, the president just wrapping up his comments. We want to bring in our Megan Casella live from D.C. with more on the president's comments. A lot of things to break down here, Megan. USMCA saying we'll see, talking about oil prices, saying they're pulling millions of barrels of oil out of Iran, and that's the reason why oil prices are potentially not even higher. The president's saying around 85. It's actually about 90. I just want to get your take on some of his comments.
Absolutely, Frank. A lot there to unpack, hitting a number of topics as always. But one of the top headlines there was right at the beginning when the president said the U.S. is going to continue attacking Iran over that downing of the U.S. Apache helicopter earlier this week. Take a listen here to some of his comments right at the start.
We hit them hard yesterday, and we're going to hit them again hard today in case you miss it, in case you don't turn on your television set. And we'll see what happens with the deal. We were really close to a deal, but they keep tapping us along. They keep playing us for suckers because, you know what? They dealt with some very stupid presidents.
Frank saying we're going to hit them hard again today. That's the first confirmation we had that the U.S. was planning further attacks against Iran, though, of course, the president also saying there that a deal remains on the table, as he's been saying now for weeks. I also want to talk about that USMCA bit. He said we're not looking to renew the deal. But we've known he didn't want to sort of rubber stamp renewal. July 1st is the renewal date for U.S., Mexico, and Canada to sign on to renew it for another set of years, 16 years. And the president said he doesn't want that. He wants to renegotiate it. So we know that the USTR, Jamieson Greer, has begun those negotiations. And I will say as well, this is important here for markets, that even if the president ultimately says we can't get to an agreement, I want to pull out of it, the deal has a safety measure within it that will keep it intact for at least another 10 years while the parties keep talking. So there's not going to be a collapse of that trade agreement in this term, even if he says he doesn't want to renew it right now. He went on to say, we'll see if we can do something to make a deal, especially with Canada. Frank?
Yeah, Megan, the president also addressing inflation. Of course, hottest headline CPI in about 3 years. The president saying once the war is over, he believes, he made a hand gesture, inflation is going to go down. Our Megan Casella live from D.C. Megan, thank you very much. Good to see you as always. Jason, got to come over to you on this one. Yep. It doesn't seem like this conflict is de-escalating, and that seems to be what the market thought was going to happen. A lot of people thought it would be a few weeks of conflict, maybe, and things would potentially be over by now. I heard a lot of traders tell me they thought it'd be over by the 4th of July. That does not seem as likely right now. Since the war began, the S&P's up over 6%. Your view on his comments and the market implications?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot there. I think as I kind of comb back to what we saw on CPI, right? CPI first, headline number up the most in 3 years. Core month over month was a little bit lighter, and you saw kind of yields calm, right? But as I kind of look at the numbers, gasoline is up 42%. Fuel is up 60. These are real numbers that are affecting the consumer day to day. And I think the other thing, as I kind of turn back the clock to last week and look at all the employment data that we saw, we got good labor statistics, right? And we think about what policy is going to look like from a Fed's perspective later on this year. Now, 98% chance of a hike in December is a very different story. And then as I kind of roll into the markets and to Liz's point in terms of breadth, 9 of the 11 sectors were up yesterday and the market was still down. But when you think about the math, obviously the semiconductors are now 30% of the S&P, so the math doesn't work out. So if you're seeing semis, we're rolling with that. So I want to continue to see healthcare, financials, industrials play into this rally going forward, and I think that's going to be healthy as we look over the next couple months. All
right, Weiss, got to come over to you. I mean, a lot of factors are influencing the market right now. It does also seem, in addition to the idea of the SpaceX IPO coming up on Friday and maybe people rotating to other unloved parts of the market, that now the market seems to be at least aware that this could be a lot longer than they previously expected. How big of a factor do you think that is in the market action today, at least? The rest of the week or so, it's hard to figure out, but for today.
Well, first of all, it's obvious the president doesn't subscribe to Tom Lee's news-led information, because Tom's been calling for the market here, so no one's been calling for it. Moving aside to your comments, rotation. I don't see a rotation the last couple of days into other sectors. I see a rotation from green to red, and that is extremely broad. I don't believe that SpaceX has a lot to do with it, frankly. It may be hitting some stocks like a Rocket Lab or others. Maybe you're freeing up to take some profits, but keep in mind, if you're smart, you're doing the calculation. What's my gain going to be in SpaceX now versus the taxes I'm going to have to pay from liquidating a position? So if you're a taxable account, that's the equation, right? That's what you got to go through. Nonetheless, what's killed, for example, the biotech sector in the past has always been, except for this time, and it was interest rates and other things, is when massive supply comes on the market. And we're seeing that broadly here. The market's got to absorb a lot of supply. And just under simple economics, supply and demand, you really need demand to exceed the balance of supply. I'm not sure we have that in terms of everything, but it's coming on in a layered amount. Overall, today is more about, I'd say, the inflation numbers. That got it off to a bad footing. Okay. But then we heard about escalation of the war in Iran, and that's not going to settle anytime soon. To give you some perspective, the last time they went to Pakistan, both delegations, U.S. and Iranians. U.S. came with Kushner and Witkoff, right? The Iranians came with over 80 people representing many different factions. So the Pakistanians spent all their time mediating between those factions. So is the Republican Guard going ahead and executing the attacks while you have the clerics saying, we want to negotiate peace? Okay. So you just don't know. But one thing's for sure is that because of the way their country is structured, that they can withstand the war for a longer period than Trump can in front of midterms.